From Iowa to D.C., we're the first in the nation, kicking off the 2024 election. You're watching Iowa's News Now, the 2024 Iowa Caucuses.
After months of campaigning, it is caucus night in Iowa. Team coverage here on Iowa's News Now. Skylar Talal, Kaylee Whitlatch, Cedric Bolton III will be joining them as we see whether or not people will brave sub-zero temperatures across the state to support their favorite candidates. And we move now as we have the last few days, starting with our weather first forecast. It is another weather warn day, in case we had so many of them last week because of the snow and the winds. Today and for the next couple days, all about the cold. It is bitter, it is brutal, and of all nights, it's tonight.
Yeah, of course, right? Some of those temperatures we tell you, please stay inside, but obviously a lot going on with the caucuses. Folks going to be heading outside here, especially through the evening hours. Here's the wind chills you're dealing with right now. All of us obviously feeling like the negative teens, if not the negative 20s in many areas outside. Some dangerous cold that we are expecting here. We've got wind chill warnings as well as wind chill advisories for everybody in the area. That's talking about wind chills between negative 20 and negative 40 degrees, especially as we head towards those nighttime hours. Here's radar and satellite. Some of us saw some sunshine today, others dealing with the clouds, but things are pretty dry out there. Road conditions still not in the greatest of shape, especially down near Johnson County. We've still got partially to completely covered roadways, plenty of crashes in those areas as we've gone throughout today. Of course, the temperatures are the big story here over the next couple of days. We'll talk more about that, how cold it'll be, and maybe when it'll start to warm up a little bit coming up here in just a few minutes.
We'll take anything over zero. Thank you, Case. And a rough few days for travel across the country because of the weather. FlightAware reports almost 3,300 flights canceled the last 2 days in the U.S., almost 13,000 delays. Be sure to check your flight times if you're leaving from the Eastern Iowa Airport. At last check, basically every flight today has been delayed. The 438 to Nashville got canceled entirely. A lot of arrivals are delayed or canceled as well. Things do seem to be so far on time for tomorrow. The DOT says it could take all week to get roads back to normal in Iowa. That's even with more than 800 plows out during the peak of the storm late last week. Weather First meteorologist Rebecca Kopelman breaks down what those crews have dealt with so far and what's ahead for them.
When Mother Nature decided to come back, she basically came back with a vengeance.
Snow, more snow, a blizzard, and sub-zero temperatures all in 1 week created difficult conditions for drivers and plow operators alike. Visibility was a big issue, but the DOT says that the other vehicles on the road were causing even bigger problems.
Unfortunately, we had way too many instances of them driving too fast for the conditions, and the results were a large number of crashes.
And cars weren't just crashing into each other, but at times damaging DOT equipment in the process. There were also several instances during both storms that I-80 was blocked for hours.
And the snow is continuing to fall. It creates a worse condition on the pavement because we can't actually get in there to treat and plow.
Additionally, many were out driving while the DOT was urging people to stay off the streets.
When we put out travel not advised, please stay home, stay off the roads to allow us to do our jobs. Really, we're not kidding. The situation was very dangerous the other day.
And while road conditions have improved since the weekend, the work is not done yet.
Those roads that were impassable open, getting those roads that have drifts, significant drifting, getting those pushed back so that they're not right up on the edge of the roadway, winging back those drifts so we can create some more storage space for the snow.
Meteorologist Rebecca Kopelman, Iowa's News Now.
And DOT officials say you need to take it slow on the roads. Even if you check their map and it shows a green status, you never know, there could still be slick spots out there, even if things do look clear. And again, we're going to see if people still show up in their typical numbers tonight for the Iowa caucuses. The show goes on in the state, even with that cold and the worries about those roads. Iowa's News Now State House reporter Skylar Talal live for us in Des Moines tonight, starting our team coverage, getting a look at the numbers 2 hours out now from the start of caucusing. Skylar.
Mitch, after months of laying the groundwork and trying to sway caucus goers, Republican candidates could be seeing their hard work pay off or not. Now, with Donald Trump dominating the polls, many are expecting a historic night for the former president. But as we all know, anything can happen, and that grassroots effort is crucial to a caucus night victory. And for months, the biggest question's been which candidate will snag the second place slot and by how much. The latest Iowa poll has Nikki Haley slightly surpassing Ron DeSantis for the first time, with 20% support to his 16%.
I think we're going to do well. I think that I like the fact that people have viewed us as an underdog. I'm fine with the lower expectations because I think we do well in those situations. And so we've put in the work. I think the work's going to pay off for us.
And I've seen some of that shift on the campaign trail, with more Iowans showing interest in Haley after her debate performances, some even calling her calmer demeanor a breath of fresh air. But DeSantis has had a pretty strong ground game in Iowa, really focusing on those precinct captains and visiting all 99 counties. That's considered a full Grassley, and something Vivek Ramaswamy's tackled twice. Despite polling in the single digits, Ramaswamy's been hitting Iowa hard, still traveling the state in wintry conditions, even as other candidates canceled their events. And this weather's really thrown a curveball for the campaigns. We could see caucus goers decide to stay home rather than dealing with the below zero temperatures. But how much that'll impact turnout or which candidates will be hurt the most is still unclear. Now, again, all coming back to how crucial that ground game is here in Iowa, with which candidates can get their supporters energized enough to show up. And coming up at 6, we'll be hearing from Haley and Trump's campaign as they make their final stops across the state. Live in Des Moines, Skylar Talal, Iowa's News Now.
An interesting night ahead for sure. Thank you, Skylar. Let's get more team coverage going with Iowa's News Now reporter Kaylee Whitlatch live in Cedar Rapids with a look ahead to the evening there at the precinct at Washington High School.
Yes, Mitch, we're here at Washington High School in Cedar Rapids. That's host 2 of the 51 precincts in the Republican Party here in Lynn County and Cedar Rapids. This is a chance for the citizens here to voice their opinions in this presidential race, despite this absolute cold that we are dealing with right now. As you can see over here, we have piles and piles of snow from all the plows coming through and all that accumulation that we got over the past week. Sidewalks are so slick, and the roads around here are not clear at all. And as this parking lot as well, very, very slick here. Temperatures are, of course, well below 0 degrees. The feels like temperature right now. It will only get colder as it gets close to caucus time. Caucus goers will be checking in here at 6:30, and then the caucus itself will start at 7. And by then, it will be especially cold outside. So that's the type of temperatures that caucus goers will be braving the night to make their voices heard. We'll have coverage all night about the caucus on Iowa's News Now. Live in Cedar Rapids, Kaylee Whitlatch, Iowa's News Now.
Thank you, Kaylee. A new Des Moines Register poll shows more than half of likely Republican caucus goers in the state say they either don't care about the Make America Great Again movement or they're against it entirely. Of course, MAGA has been Trump's slogan since his 2016 campaign. More than a third of people polled say they're neutral to MAGA. About 1 in 6 say they're against it. 40% say they support it, though, including 18% who consider themselves to be ultra MAGA. Iowa's News Now anchor Nick Weig heading up our caucus coverage here at Broadcast Park tonight. He is live in studio with a look ahead to the evening.
Yeah, Mitch, safe to say we haven't seen a single piece of analysis indicating that anyone but Donald Trump is going to come out on top tonight. But that is not a rubber stamp to the nomination. What I'm going to be looking for is the level of support for the two that come in second and third, and the margin of victory for Trump in the end. Now, here's why that's important. The next contest is just 8 days away in New Hampshire, Tuesday, January 23rd. Now, there will be independents voting in that contest because it's an open primary, and Nikki Haley will have a significant chance to win there. If she outperforms here in Iowa tonight, that could be a huge step towards evening the playing field a bit with the former president. Now, if Haley doesn't perform as well as hoped and Ron DeSantis instead comes in second, that could lead many Republicans to come back to him as the potential alternative to Trump instead of Haley. Now, here's why this matters. The latest Iowa poll from the Des Moines Register found nearly a quarter of all those planning to caucus tonight say that they do not believe Donald Trump can beat Joe Biden because of his criminal charges and other legal troubles. And 43% of those planning to vote for Nikki Haley tonight say they will vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Now, that's an indicator of the headwinds the former president still faces in a general election, and why Haley is making the case that she is the only candidate that can beat Joe Biden in November. So a lot to break down for you tonight as Iowans put this whole process into motion, and we will track it for you. Nick Weig, Iowa's News Now.
Candidates are making the most of the final few hours before caucus night. I'm Natalie Brandt in Des Moines with a look at where the GOP race stands ahead of the nation's first primary contest.
Another round of heavy snow led to blizzard conditions, and Iowa's News Now Weather First went into action.
This is just the beginning.
Early warning.
Round 3, another strong storm system is going to be moving into the area here.
Expert tracking, live video,
Really starting to see a lot more of that blowing snow.
and life-saving information.
Make sure that your furnace pipes are clear of any snow.
Before, during, and after the storm on all your screens, always choose Weather First on Iowa's News Now. A new day dawns in Iowa, and there's a new way to start your day.
Welcome to a brand new feeling.
Watch Iowa's News Now this morning with Netta Shama and Rebecca Kopelman.
The headlines you need to know.
And your Weather First forecast so you can plan.
Weekday mornings from 5 to 7 a.m. on CBS 2 and all your screens. Always choose Iowa's News Now this morning.
Welcome to a brand new feeling.
When winter driving is at its worst, the Iowa's News Now Weather First Road Warrior is at its best.
Those road conditions starting to deteriorate.
Real-time road reports.
When we got into that really heavy band of snow there.
Live video.
It became snow covered and pretty slick pretty quick.
And the Weather First team of meteorologists.
We don't just tell you about the risks.
We'll take you where it's at its worst.
So ride with us. You can see it live before you drive.
The Weather First Road Warrior, only on Iowa's News Now.
Martin Luther King Jr. would have been 95 today, and his birthday is a federal holiday now, a national day of service, and a chance to remember his life and legacy. Skylar Henry reports from Washington, D.C.
Martin Luther King III laid a wreath at his father's memorial on the day of his birthday.
In honor of the memory of Dr. King.
Speaking at an NAACP event in South Carolina, Vice President Kamala Harris said there is still work to do to achieve Dr. King's dream.
We are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms. Consider, in states across our nation, extremists attack the sacred freedom to vote.
President Biden visited Philadelphia, where he helped support people who are food insecure.
Literally, as cliche as it is, be the change you want to be.
On this national holiday, everyone is encouraged to give back and volunteer.
The legacy of Dr. King really was rooted in the meaning of service behind it.
At the University of South Carolina, more than 160 students volunteered for service activities.
So we're just going around this area right here and picking up trash and anything else to just clean up the community.
And cities and towns across the country held events like this MLK Day Parade in Jacksonville, Florida. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
And low temperatures this morning here in eastern Iowa, certainly brutal cold as we woke up, with many of us even into those low negative teens, even -20 this morning down in Iowa City. The cold, though, not loosening its grip yet on eastern Iowa. We'll talk about that, and of course the wind chill warning that we have in place as well. How long that'll be sticking around, coming up after the break.
Our leaders make decisions that affect our everyday lives. Only Iowa's News Now has a reporter in Des Moines every day, holding our leaders accountable.
Many of the House Republicans she endorsed are ready to follow through on their campaign promises.
Fighting for answers.
Lawmakers will be able to appropriate that money to help with Iowa's opioid crisis.
Giving you balanced coverage.
Calling on Iowa lawmakers to take action.
Trust Skylar Talal, your only local State House reporter on Iowa's News Now. Iowa's News Now, your trusted news team. Always ready when news breaks.
And it's still an active scene here at the Chalet Apartments.
And when severe weather rolls in.
So much snow that has fallen, the crews are trying to keep up.
Always tackling the issues that matter.
I have new information on how one woman's story is sparking new legislation.
Always covering the stories that celebrate our Iowa pride. On the air and on the go. Always choose Iowa's News Now. Vehicles stranded after a major winter storm.
Now that it's safe out, better visibility, we are now going to go out and recover that unit.
Iowa's News Now hops in the cab of a tow truck to give you a unique perspective of a tow truck driver the day after.
What he's doing now is getting the drive shaft disassembled and unhooked, so when we tow this, it does not cause any damage.
Right now at iowasnewsnow.com, see the recovery in action. All screens, all the time, always choose Iowa's News Now.
Back on Iowa's News Now this caucus night, give you a live look there at the Capitol in Des Moines. This is the first contest in the 2024 presidential election, starting in about an hour and 45 minutes as people brave the elements to go support their candidates. So we'll see what happens as they venture out into those sub-zero temperatures. More team coverage now with Iowa's News Now reporter Cedric Bolton III live in Johnson County this evening there in Iowa City with what we're expecting there tonight.
Yeah, I'm at the Iowa Memorial Union Precinct, and they're still in the process of setting up. I haven't seen too many people walk in, but we can expect the turnout to increase as the night goes on. In the Des Moines Register final 2024 Iowa Caucus cycle, Donald Trump still led all other candidates, with Nikki Haley placing in second, beating Ron DeSantis, who are coming in third. We're less than 2 hours until the caucus, and I'll be here to keep track of everything as the night goes on. Live in Iowa City, Cedric Bolton III, Iowa's News Now.
Thank you, Cedric. And again, caucus goers are going to have to deal with some brutal sub-zero cold as they head to their precincts tonight. Natalie Brand is following the evening from Des Moines.
From local diners to town halls, GOP presidential hopefuls are trying to make the most of these final hours before caucus night. For Iowans, it's a mix of intrigue.
I'm very curious to see how this will turn out.
Anxiety.
I don't think she's going to do well.
And even indecision.
I think my final decision will come on caucus night.
Dylan Engelbrecht chairs Drake University's College Republicans.
What is your sense of who the young Republicans like this year?
I think it's a pretty mixed bag like we see in the polls. I think you definitely have that committed group that is still for President Trump all the way. But I think there's definitely interest in other candidates like Governor DeSantis and Ambassador Haley.
Polling reflects that. The latest Des Moines Register poll shows former President Donald Trump with a nearly 30-point lead, and Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis fighting for second place.
The key to winning in Iowa is you need to finish in the top 3.
Volunteers are still working today to help their candidates cross the finish line.
We know, looking at polls, that people are concerned about the weather.
Given the severe weather, the outcome is riding on who shows up and which candidate has the most loyal supporters on what could be the coldest caucus night in history. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Des Moines, Iowa.
Turning now again to our weather first forecast on another weather-worn day, and boy, glass half full, and it's not full a whole lot there, Kaysen. The wind chills right now we're talking about where the actual air temperature lows in some cases are like in the ballpark overnight. So we are making progress, if you want to call it progress.
A little bit of progress, yeah. Maybe. That would be the glass half full analysis there, that's for sure. But yeah, obviously the intense cold now building in after all of the snow that we saw last week. This is our observed snowfall just from last week, and you can see the pockets of anywhere from about 18 to 23 inches here around portions of eastern Iowa. Of course, we were not the only ones hit. A wide range or wide area here, and a big area of where that heavy snow fell. Of course, over an inch, over a foot, expanding from Kansas to Nebraska and all the way to the north and east up into Michigan there. A lot of impacts, of course, felt from this system here, and it does contribute to some of those cold temperatures that we are dealing with. Wind chills tonight, once again, -20 to as low as -40 degrees. Of course, a lot of people going outside this evening, maybe to caucus. Frostbite is possible in just a few minutes, so keep that in mind. Make sure you're bundling up. A bit of a break from the snow, though. Now, we're not going to get a whole lot more added on top of that. We could see some light snow, though, as we head towards kind of Thursday night. But those wind chills, they are going to be the biggest concern here, at least in the short term tonight. Seeing those wind chills fall back between -30 and -40. So brutal cold temperatures even throughout the day on Tuesday. Those wind chills will still be into the -20s to around -30 degrees. Let's talk about the temperatures. How are they going to be? Well, we might get back above 0 degrees for tomorrow on Tuesday. Some of us might. A better chance, though, coming Wednesday with a balmy high of 13 degrees. And then we kind of do it all over again towards the end of the week. Those temperatures likely going to fall back into the single digits digits, if not the negatives. Overall, though, things are pretty quiet right now. A lot of us did see some of that cloud cover today, a bit more sunshine there up in northeast Iowa, and the forecast should remain pretty quiet here, at least in the short term. Lots of sunshine for Tuesday, not going to translate in terms of the temperatures, though. More clouds beginning to kind of build in as we head towards Wednesday. Partly sunny skies is what we'll call it here. Things continuing to remain dry. We're not talking about any snow chances here until possibly seeing some of that snow Thursday, maybe more towards Thursday night. It would be more scattered light snow showers. We're not looking at really any heavy snow, at least in the future here. And maybe some good news. We could have a little bit of this now. It looks like temperatures will begin to warm up towards the end of this week and then into next week, where we're likely going to see those temperatures once again back above normal. That would likely push many of our daytime highs into the 30s, possibly even close to 40 degrees. However, that's just not going to happen here in the short term. We've got those wind chill warnings that will continue until noon on Tuesday. A wind chill advisory will follow that. High is going to remain to the single digits for the end of the week. We'll still have those overnight lows well below zero with those wind chills that could be between negative 30 and negative 40 degrees.
Hey, above zero, we'll take it at this point. Progress is progress. America is in dire need of blood donors tonight. Numbers are as low as they've been in decades, and there's a nationwide blood shortage because of it. Iowa's News Now medical reporter Liz Bonus is seeing how you can help.
Those tracking our blood supply say the number of people who donate blood has dropped 40% in the past 2 decades, and in younger people, those numbers even worse. In fact, a new survey on blood collection from the Department of Health and Human Services shows between 2019 and 2021, blood donations in people ages 16 to 18 dropped by 60%. Well, nobody is quite sure why. When I joined Dr. David O for his podcast recently called In the Know with Dr. O, we did talk about this.
The younger generation is so much more about giving and community service and stuff. We have not seen them yet come out in big numbers that we were hoping for.
But he says blood drives, such as this one at Ohio's National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, can help change that. Those who give say they feel a sense of community and that they are part of something bigger.
It's such an easy way to help people. It's fun. They have great prizes if you're into prizes, and it's really easy to help people.
My niece had sickle cell, so every chance I get, donating in memory of her.
Now, a few other things may have contributed to this drop in younger donors in those years. COVID did shut down many high school and college drives. And remember, to donate, you just need to be healthy, weigh at least 110 pounds, and be 17 years old or 16 with a parent's permission. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
And we're back to your final forecast here already. We're expecting those brutally cold temperatures to continue tonight into Tuesday. We'll be maybe struggling. We could get back maybe above zero tomorrow. Certainly a chance to see that. Better chance coming Wednesday. Still, we're going to have a wind chill warning, go into a wind chill advisory for the middle portion of the week there. 13 degrees might be our high temperature for the week there on Wednesday. A bit cooler Thursday into Friday. Those temperatures will once again kind of fall back well below zero there, but some light at the end of the tunnel maybe as we head towards next week. I think 30, that might be shorts weather for some folks here.
A, it is. B,
Iowa.
that's going to be a 50-degree swing from where we were overnight tonight.
And we're only into the 30s, so just think a 50-degree swing
how
and we get back
different
into,
it'll feel.
Just into the 30s.
It has been a pretty incredible stretch of weather, and thankfully it looks like we're on the downhill slope there, so to speak. So thanks for joining us here with this online streamed broadcast. We'll do it again coming up at 6, more team coverage of the 2024 Iowa Caucuses.